I'm gonna do some work on this one. I got those other two painted and drying, so I figured why not hit this one up? Um, Actually, now that I think about it, it's not raining outside, but should I hit it with some green? I got this. Real nice spray paint I've always wanted to use and never have. I'll run outside and hit it with green real quick. Just to change it up. I think I should. Should I leave a sign that says be back shortly? Do I have anything? It says streaming will continue momentarily. I probably should have thought about that before I started the stream, huh? Oh, nobody's on here right now, so I'm gonna see if I just can't do this real quick. Man, I'm gonna go spray that with this brand new, look at Montana Gold, baby. I'll be right back. I just got this in and I wanted to try it. So I'm gonna hit this with another shade. I will be back momentarily. Smelling like spray paint, but luckily you can't smell it through that. I'm actually just right out here, so I'll be right back. So that was a total letdown. I apologize. I'm not smart enough to... Anybody have experience with these cans of spray paint? It was recommended it for the best colors, and nothing happens when I press the... I'm not super versed in spray paint. Like, I'm just kind of used to, you know, getting a can of spray paint and being able to be, and I can't get nothing to come out of this. I'll have to look up if something's supposed to be the best for color, but it's not worth that duty if it don't work, right? So I guess I'm not gonna hit this with green. I'm gonna leave it as B and paint some of it. I think this should all be concrete and should probably be done first. This can be the teal again. And I'll fill in metal bits with the blue, probably. I think. So, why don't we make us some more of that? Brown, red. This is a part of a piece of terrain for a game called Necromunda. It's a game produced by Games Workshop. It's a tabletop skirmish game where you and your opponent play as gangs fighting over a vast cyberpunk, you know, industrial complex, sort of. If you have never heard of it, you should check it out. The old one was great. I played it for years when I was a kid. Yeah, it's mostly garbage with some styrofoam. These, the super fancy bits are from a terrain set from the company that makes the game. Both. I played the 95, you know, the old Necromunda quite a bit, so that's been a problem playing the new one because I think rules are different, which they are. But I'll play both. The new one has so much stuff in it that it's hard to not want to play that one. How about you, Snare Hit? You play any of those? Welcome, by the way, Potato Crisps. Crisps. So, I'm just gonna wiggle the camera a little bit. I apologize. I'm gonna try to give you oh, is it gonna fall? A little bit better view of my palette so you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, this is all, if you, here, before I put any paint on it and it starts getting messy, I'll give you a little bit of a idea. This is one that hasn't been primed yet, because I built this on the live stream. This is one of 9 pieces that fit in a 4x4 grid with like a 3-inch space to mimic roads. You can see that's all garbage or cardboard and stuff cut to be a certain way, straws, and yeah. I love me some scratch build. I do use chunks of, you know, GW's kits. They're incredible. So if you have some old ones and you want to send them to me, no, I'm playing. What am I gonna do? Make another board? What would I do with this first one? I guess I could give it away. That might be cool. I definitely have ideas for scenarios on it before I get into anything like that. But thank you, Potato Crisp. So the technique I am is very akin to oil painting, to blending with oil. So I'm just trying to find my the tone that I want to use first. I think I need a little of this ochre to brown it, and then a little bit of this blue. So it is kind of an interesting way to paint something, if you think about it. It's like using something similar to oil paints to make a cyberpunk industrial sort of complex. All right, here we go. I wanted more of like a brown purpley thing going on, so. And with this paint, it is very gooby, so we definitely want to make sure we mix it all so we don't actually have like a chunk of blue and smear a big blue stripe when everything else is kind of purple. Although blending with this is really easy. I'm gonna need some more water. Maybe I can move this over here so it's not me crossing my arm over the thing. Alright, so we got our industrial purple, cyberpunk industrial purple, and I think like all of this type of stuff is gonna get a coating. Right. Right, you might think, okay, well that's kind of an interesting color, but let's put a little bit of just our straight red on the edge there, so we can get a little bit of that straight red on there. Oh, see, that might even be too much. So we can blend it. We can add some blue if we want it a little bit more blue, if we like the brown texture. But I like that. That's a it is finicky, but only if you're trying to like control it really. If you kind of let go a little bit and you just kind of ram it all together, it blends nicely. And if you learn the order in which pigments give up to the other pigment, and when I say give up, I mean like if you put yellow with blue, it's going to turn green, but if you even have a little bit of blue on your brush and you get it on your yellow, it's going to turn green. But if you have a little yellow on your brush and you put it to blue, it's going to turn green, but not the blue is going to overwhelm that green. See what I'm saying? So in that sense, if you learn the order that they give up to each other, then you can kind of paint and blend in that order. So as long as I do like a brown, so it's actually kind of interesting. So I'm using a limited palette, not to get into like a bunch of art theory here. But I'm using a limited palette. I don't have black, so excuse me. I don't have black, so I can't darken anything. So I'm having to use the blue and the red to kind of darken things. I can only lighten things up. But to make a brown, I'm mixing all of the primary colors. So any of this stuff that drips down on the base, as long as I put a brown and mix it real good, it will just look like a kind of more red spot of the brown base. So it's kind of a weird hack to use oils on things, on minis. If you've never really experienced people painting with oils on miniatures or terrain or anything, you should check out Totally Not Panicking on YouTube and on Instagram. he paints like kit bashed minis with oil paints, and they look like something out of a horror film. So you can get some cool effects. I think I might have accidentally painted. What did I make? I accidentally painted that in there. Whoops. That's a. There is an elevator that goes from the top to the middle floor down to the bottom. So, but I spray painted it in there on accident. It's fine. It's fine. So, I do have a lot of concrete. For of this brick red to cover. So I'm just gonna keep trying to crank that out. Macro prisoners. Okay, macro prisoners. I don't know what NJM, but I'll check out macro prisoners. Is that the channel? Because, yeah, you can do some really cool stuff. I've taken a class from Totally Not Panicking at Adepticon, and he definitely inspired me. I've used oils to paint, landscapes and weird pictures and stuff, but I've never done it to paint terrain, even though I've built terrain as long as I've ever painted with anything, so... It's just interesting. There was a separation between other mediums besides acrylic paint in my head. Marco Frassoni. Cool. Yeah, it's funny, if I weren't live streaming, I'm usually like listening to somebody or watching somebody else craft while I craft. So I started the live stream just to kind of like kick me into gear to get this Necromunda table built, because I have some really off the wall ideas to do with it, but I have to get like the base built of it. So that means I have to get through, and I got to paint all of this stuff so I can start working on more of it. Yeah, I'll scoot that a little bit more in the frame. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm just trying to get these done so I can initiate the next project, which I might live stream portions for, but then I think I'm going to do some weird videos for too. But I have a really interesting idea for this board, and I've been trying to come up with like narratives for it and stuff. Find it hard to keep momentum with big projects. Yeah, yes and no. So it's an interesting idea of like that hobby burnout thing. Like, I don't know, when I play games, like for whatever I'm building, so if I play a game on this piece of terrain and it's not painted, I want to paint it. If it's not fully built, I want to finish building it, right? Like if I play a game with half of an army built, because that's all I have done, next hobby chance I get, I'm on top of finishing that army so I can play again and actually have it painted and all that. That's just kind of how my like hobby boost, how that boosts me, and it is from playing games. I do obsessively build terrain though, so even when I'm not like actively building a board or something, I kind of fiddle with pieces of garbage and make them look like things, and then throw them in a box. And then when I am building terrain, right? I guess that doesn't really answer your question of, do I find it hard to keep momentum? I do find it hard if that's all I'm doing. If I play a game, it will, give me, especially if it's a game related to what I'm working on, the project I'm working on, then it will most definitely push me to continue working on the project. Usually when I run out of momentum, it's because I don't have like interest of myself or other people to play the game with. So it's kind of like, why would I work on this? It's nobody, it's not going to get utilized by anything. Other sources of momentum for me are internal narratives. So if I build this board and I get enough people together, I can, run a one-day event of some crazy catastrophe in the Underhive, and everyone has to try to survive one big battle, right? That not only does that kind of, that's a big step to, try to get that many people. Hell, it's a big step just to have enough friends to do something like that. But if you take those like little bit of, out of your comfort zone steps, that is another way to get momentum, to kind of light a fire underneath you and get you working on a project. I feel like, as far as like what momentum tips I could give you, record the moments in your head, or log it, or hell, journal it if you have to, of when you get that like, oh man, I am itching to, build, or I am itching to paint, or I'm itching to, get reward out of my hobby besides actually playing the game. And kind of take note of what spurred that. Like, were you reading a White Dwarf, or seeing somebody's cool post on Instagram, or like what gives you that inspiration, and then use it. I do thoroughly use Instagram as an inspiration. You just search a few things, and YouTube is great. In fact, that's why I'm doing this right now, is because somebody inspired me to. So. But there is, I do understand the monotony of, this is right here already is a lot of paint that I'm still got to put on this thing. But when it's done, it will look bitchin', and I'll play some cool games on it, and I'll be like, man, I want to build another one. And like I said, I kind of obsessively build Necromunda boards. I built this before I ever had a YouTube channel or anything like that, or started this. This one wasn't built on live stream. I just wanted to play Necromunda, and I knew that if I had a bitchin' board, I could get people to play it with me. Who inspired me to create in general, or create on YouTube? Because that's a different question. You want to refine the create part, because a lot of people have inspired me to create. My family mostly, but I don't think that's what you're asking. In general, well, my family, and then, man, it's like, you want me to list some of my favorite artists? You want me to list favorite artists relevant to this? I gotta make more of this. I'm running out. Relevant to miniature painting and Necromunda, or just in general? I mean, I love a lot of different kinds of art. Um, Everything from like cartooning, you know, Dr. Seuss style weirdness to R. Crumb. Yeah, yeah, you're good, Potato Crisp. Thanks for the question. It's a great question. Definitely my family. There's a lot of artists in my family, so lots of creativity. Everybody is like incredibly creative, so that's a big inspiration. But as far as great artists, like I went to college for art, so there are thousands, and it's hard for me to think of any right off the top of my head besides like Rick Griffin, R. Crumb, some of those artists. As far as oil paint, there is one guy I've just been recently researching, Antonio. Oh man, now I feel bad. I don't know. You put me on the spot. I can't remember. But great. Anything from classical artists. It's not actually really what inspires me so much as what inspires you to create. Like I'll definitely give you some pointers if you want. Like people to go check out. Go check out if you're into this stuff. Go check out Totally Not Panicking. Go check out the Hive Scum podcast. They were a big inspiration for this. Great group of guys. Eric's Hobby Workshop. You know, his hobby stuff on here is what inspired me to jump on YouTube. Yeah, it's in the 40K universe, the Warhammer 40K universe. It's like a planet. It's a planet on in that universe. Trying to get this back to the color I had. That's the only problem with mixing on the fly if you don't precisely remember the color. But the beauty of having such a small, limited palette, it doesn't matter really. I only have so many colors I can mix together, so. Yeah, and also Necromunda, like I played the old one when I was a kid, so it was really inspiring. Very inspired by it. The old Dune movies with just the way weird suits and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, objectively, it's probably not the best of all of the Dune movies, but the way that they did the sci-fi at that era with the what was it, the Spacing Guild and the Navigator and those guys. I mean, if you go back and look at that, and then you look at what a Delac in Necromunda looks like, it's kind of like, you know, par for par right there. But so I'm just trying to get this structure all painted up with this. Brown red I got going on. How about you? Yes. I mean, here and there. I don't know. I think the new ornithopters or thopters or whatever they are, I thought those in the new one look 100 times better than flying triangle sort of thing. But yeah, I don't think that movie gets enough credit, to be honest with you. And for the longest time, it was one of my favorite sci-fi movies because it was just so fucking weird. Oh, I didn't realize I started painting that big pillar purple, so I guess it's gonna be purple. I did have some ideas of like maybe doing some like posters or something, some like sci-fi Necromunda Imperial propaganda or some stuff. So, where did I put it? No, there's a few people. Have anybody used this spray paint before? Because I couldn't get the lid to work. Is my brain dead? Yes, I completely agree with you, Snarehit 22. That is a truth. In fact, there should have been more of that. I would have loved to see more of the weird psychic brain stuff too. And if you rewatch the Lynch's one, you'll see how much internal dialogue goes on in people's heads in that one. And I don't know, I like that. It kind of gives this whole narrative a little bit more like the book, where you're following along with the person's thoughts. Trying to get some more layers of color back in there. Okay, we're looking pretty good now. I have to kind of choose where I want the light to come from, and I think I'm just gonna say like straight in this corner because it's kind of there's quite a bit of highlight right here from the zenithal anyways, so I'm just going to say that the light is blasting in from this corner. So put a blob of white down there, grab a little of it, make myself like a mid-tone. Start highlighting where I think the light is coming from. And so once I've kind of like decided which direction the light is going to come from, I'll just continue highlighting that up. And I'll go in kind of like a stippling motion. Peace out, Potato Crisps. It was nice chatting with you, bud. So just kind of trying to highlight that in a stippling kind of manner. Yeah, so I just keep kind of highlighting up. I'm going to try to keep the super white, you know, the very light side over here. But I do kind of want to work it back and highlight the corners when I can. Pretty easy highlight. I could even probably go just ever so much more. We're gonna water it down too. It will try a little bit more transparent, which means I can go a little bit heavier with it. It's great. Dig it. I think I'm gonna go and try to make a little bit more of this darker mid-tone and just do a little bit of a color highlight up top too. Just giving a little variation, a little bit more patterns. It is the way that I put the paint on there. It is very drippy, so it kind of gives its own pattern there a little bit. But oh, sorry. Bye, Snarehead. I thought, my bad, yo. No, I'm not banishing particulars. Do I plan these? I mean, kind of. If you go back and watch like how I built a couple of them on the live stream, you can see how I, work out how they're gonna go together. Some of them have like an idea behind them or a specific desire to achieve, a certain kind of build, but nothing, like I don't go in there and be like, I'm going to have this, with a blueprint with all these platforms. I just built the, I don't even remember how I built this one. I didn't record any of the way that I built this one. I think it actually started with this elevator thing. I think I built was like, oh, I bet I can make an elevator out of this box. So, like I said before, sometimes even when I'm not working on terrain, I'll be like, I bet you I can build an elevator out of this box. So. Trying to get a solid coat in there. Try to get some more coverage down there. And then I think I might actually just lighten that up a little bit. It's not as drastic on the camera, unfortunately, but as you can see by the highlight on this one behind here, it will look should look good. I like the way that it looks. It's matching that other color well enough as well. So I think we're actually going to change it up. I was thinking about doing this all in teal to match that other one, but I'm going to say that the industrial stuff is blue instead. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some blue. So we can get some paint on the other parts of these. And like I said before, these are very high pigment paints, so they do kind of go a long way. Not too bad. Very bright. Normally I would never paint anything this color. But hell, I like this limited palette weird medium challenge. It is not so bad if it looks a little washed out, I realize, so I'm going to add a little bit more water to this. In fact, another cool aspect of this paint is that if I feel like there's too much pigment on here, again, because it's just water-based, water mixable oils, I have found that cool. It does I had a nice drippy Warren effect when you do that. Trying to use the extra runoff from this side. Just trying to get my paint to go further. Right, so like if you look up here how dark this blue is on this face, if I just hit that, I can bring that down a little bit, make it look a little bit more washed out. Other things that should probably be blue is this big chunk in the back. So we'll have to put some more blue in here. What got me into Necromunda? So, I mean, short story Warhammer 40k, long story Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and Ralpartha minis. But I was playing 40k. It was Space Marines and Orcs, and it was the old one, the old kit that came with the cardboard cutout of the old Dread. And I saw advertisement for Necromunda, I think in White Dwarf for one of their magazines or whatever. Then I went to a game shop where I was living at the time, and they had a cool Necromunda table. And I was like, this game looks cool as heck. And I think I got a Van Sar gang back in the day. I don't even think a Van Sar gang. I think I like bought a Van Sar Heavy or something. And then years later, I had lost that many, and because I had never played Necromunda, so it kind of just got lost somewhere. I probably traded it for something. And then years later, when I was an adult and had a job, I was like, I want to play that game. I never got to, and it always seemed really cool. So the funny things you do when you finally have, when you live on your own and you have some money to spend. That's when I played it the most. With some incredibly epic games on Necromunda. So I do have a bunch of piping back there that needs even more blue, so I'm gonna have to hit that. But I think I might actually just take a quick break real quick and hit the bathroom, so I will be back momentarily. All right, I'm back. Are we still here? Somebody's here. A couple people. What up, my friends? Um, I was just about to do more blue, if I remember correctly. Get these pipes done up. Yes, I do agree. This color is very bright, cartoonish, but I will be dimming all of it down with black oil washes at the end. So. Trying to really just get like a base coat of this blue, because this pigment is so heavy that even if it's watered down, it'll still really change the color of these pipes. So then when I oil wash it, it will grime it all up real good. Try to get in here. And all of this is still wet, so if I put my hand right there, I'm going to get a big blob of maroon on it or whatever color that is. So this definitely slows down the process a little bit, but it does allow me to set this aside and start working on another one. And I mean, what is this? This is just now an hour in. I took a little bit of a break, and I got it 75% done. So I have used these 40K bit, or these I guess they were bits for City Fight back in the day. Came out like with a kit. I've used them over and over and over. So if ever I decide that I don't want this piece anymore, I will just tear it apart and take these bits out. It's a good way to continue using these super cool detailed bits in your scratch builds. You don't have to, but there's just so much detail on them that if you have them, you might as well. And in fact, I was gifted some more stuff, so I probably will make a couple more tiles, just to, whether or not I play it on that big of a table, or to just to be able to interchange the tiles a little bit. So. Got that covered. I'm gonna hit the back side of this pipe here. Again, just trying to give it like a base coat. I think I might just make these blue as well. Probably end up saving the orange and the ochres and the yellow ochre for the wires, because there's quite a few wires on this one. So this is kind of getting to the point where it's getting really hard to work on. I feel like I got most of the blue base coated. Maybe I'll do this in the blue as well. Give me a little bit more. I won't use black when mixing the paints because I don't have a black. I was just gifted this set of water-based oils and decided to do this board using them. And the set didn't come with black, so if I had black, I would be using black. This would be a dingier looking board from the outset, but because I don't, it's making it much brighter, which is cool because it kind of, you know, dwells in that sort of cyberpunk existence anyways. But I will do like a black oil wash after this is all dry that will wash down into the crevices and just, you know, reawaken some of the shadow lines. But as far as like right now, while I'm painting all this stuff, yeah, I'm not using any black. I don't have black to use. Just white, so I can highlight up, I can't highlight down. Trying to cut this in a little bit. And you know, that's not part of the technique, not using black. It's just kind of something that situationally happened here for this particular project. But if you ever want like a challenge, try to paint a picture or something with just a limited palette. Like only use, you know, 4 or 5 colors or whatever. Then that will teach you how to mix colors better and how to shade a little bit better. In my opinion, it's like learning how to do something without I don't know, without any sort of help, because that's the problem. You can go online and order whatever shade you can think of, but you can also get red, yellow, and blue and make your own. And I suppose you'd never learn how to if you never try. So I would suggest trying to limit your palette. They do say when you're painting minis and stuff that a limited palette is beneficial. I think that applies to terrain as well. So that's why, even though I got kind of wacky colors, it will work because I can't keep adding wacky colors. It can't be like, okay, and now a neon orange. it's only going to be what I can, get from these colors. And when I go to dirty it up, it's going to be mixes of these colors. So that will help with like palette continuity. Man, there's a lot more blue on here than I thought. I thought it was going to be mostly that burgundy red, but it is kind of a very industrial looking building, so that kind of makes sense. Because I chose blue as my like industrial, the blue and the ochre, but I suppose I am building an industrial city, so everything, all the colors I choose are going to be industrial. That's funny. So let's finish this up down here. Alright, so now I'm going to shade this blue up real quick. I'm going to get some white. Again, I'm just going to get a blob of white. And I'm going to get a mid-tone. Going. I'm going to try to get some of this mid-tone up in here. Because again, we said that the light is going to be shining from this corner. So then I'm going to be trying to highlight up from this corner. And again, I'm not going to be super freaked out about being too messy. If I have to, I can come back and do some more blending. And the oil wash at the end will help hide all my mess ups. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Trying to give a little bit of a lighting or shading to all this blue I just did. for this, I think I'll just kind of use this lighter tone that I mixed up and do some downward at an angle kind of brush strokes. And all this is going to do is give it a little bit of highlight without a drastic highlight like on the other side. Because I'm basically using the mid-tone as a highlight as opposed to using that really light tone. Again, I'm just trying to brush away from where I think the light is coming from. Just to finish off, we're going to get a little drastic here. We're going to get some really bright white tones. Then we can just take that and just work with blending that in. If I just keep kind of like going in concentric circles around where I originally put this white on here, I should be able to blend it down. And then, because this stuff is going to be really exposed to it, I'm going to try to just blend this down, and then when my paintbrush gets kind of filled up with the lighter color, I'm just going to come over here and see if I can lighten up this a little bit. Pretty cool. Definitely looks like some form of shading going on there. I suppose I could try to get more intense with it to really look like OSL is light is coming from there, but I'm not going to. I like the way that looks enough. If I want to continue with some sort of OSL work, I can. But I am going to try to get a little bit more shading. So again, I'm just kind of shading, using the brush to hit whatever edges the light would be shining from. Plan. All right, so really all I got to do is the teal on this, the ochre or the yellows for the wires and stuff, and then the brown. But quite a bit of this is very wet, and I'm gonna get it. I already have it all over my hands. But I'm just going to end up making more work for myself, smearing stuff around, so I'm going to let it set up at least a little bit. I think so. In that case, I think I'm going to hop off. I will try to do another one later this evening. If you missed that, I've been trying to do live streams early in the morning, middle of the day, and in the evening. So you can catch any of those, or you can go check out my channel and catch up on any parts you missed, or if you have any questions on how I did a particular thing, for example, that kind of highlight, you can go back and watch it if you need, or hit me up on Instagram, Blurrscraft on Instagram. Hit me up on here, add a comment to any of these. I will answer any of your questions. I love talking about terrain, so I'm gonna go figure out how this spray can works. But it is vegan paint formula, so that's good. All right, you'll have a wonderful evening, and I'll probably see you later.